Hi guys, and welcome to another Briggs Farmers League competition. Obviously, we are here in week 3, I believe it is, our mirror match weeks, and I am Adam Fox, the unoriginal name gamer, here, of course, with Spadge from Gab. Howdy Spadge, how you going?
Hello, hello. Good.
Now, obviously, we've got two very tough games up tonight. Probably we haven't seen such a tough, as tough a competition as since the first match with JUGA versus Fifth Column.
Yeah, definitely two really top flight teams going against two of the teams that have struggled in the first couple of weeks. So it'll be up to them to come out and show that they can throw punches with the best of them.
Yes, obviously tonight this will be SOCA and Fifth Column's sort of time to sort of show that they can fight against the guys that they normally fight with on Briggs on the live server. So it'll be very interesting to see if they go for just the general push in with the infiltrator, light assault, and the heavies like normal, or if they try to change it up and fight against for what's really going to be a better sort of competition from the Jugger and the Gab guys.
Yeah, you'd expect Jugger and Gab to walk away with the win, barring a major upset. I think for Soka and fifth column, it's just about showing that they can compete and put points on the board against these guys. I mean, I know that we had a practice, Gab team had a practice against fifth column last night, and the first round was really ugly from the Gab side. The fifth column guys really showed that they could compete, and I think the first round, Gab ended up winning it by about 5 points. It was extremely close. So even just that sort of sent a bit of a shockwave through everyone. You know, we actually need to pull our heads in. It's not just going to be a rout. So hopefully neither of the teams are walking in, by neither of the teams, I mean Jugger and Gab, neither of them are walking in thinking, oh, I know it's in the bag, don't worry, we don't need to practice, we don't need to worry about it, because it was almost a bit of a trap in the practice last night for the Gab team. So be interesting.
Yeah, well, it's definitely good to hear that the Fifth Column guys at least are sort of trying to put their best foot forwards and really try and fight against them, and hopefully what everyone's expecting as being a very sort of one-sided match for both of these will actually be a little bit closer for us if we're lucky, and we'll get to see some good fighting tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. There's sort of got to go into with the mentality that they've really got nothing to lose, and when you go into any game like that, where you just go balls to the wall and throw absolutely everything you have at the enemy, because in your mind, any small gain that you get is your win, and not losing by the 400 to 150 that fifth column did in the first week. If they can minimise the gap that they had in that first week to what they may go down to against Gab, then that's a win, because it's going to come down to points for those final two spots, and probably the final match between those two teams if they are unlucky enough to go down tonight. But you never know. I mean, they maybe have a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, well, if either of those teams come out of tonight's matches with a win, then the fight between the two of them coming up, Soka versus Fifth Column, will be obviously, yeah, a lot of people are sort of thinking that the Soka Fifth Column fight is going to be the fight for fifth and sixth place. If one of them comes out with a win, it very much comes down to the other team to then put their best foot forwards in that match to try and come out with a win as well, and then it's going to be very much based on the scores from both teams.
And the other side too, it shakes up the top end of the table. I know that a lot of the teams are going to start to, or the guys at the top are going to start to be thinking, who are we realistically going to be playing against in the finals? Who do we need to start practicing for? Who do we need to start watching? And if Jugger or Gab lose here tonight, it's going to completely throw anything that anyone thought out the door, because these are games that they would just mark off in their schedule as, yes, we should win that. That's one that we should have in the bag. So it's a tough loss for them, because it's going to throw their own preparation out. It's going to throw the other top four preparation out. It's just going to really throw a spanner in the works. It wouldn't, potentially, you wouldn't think that it would knock either one of those teams out of the top four, but it's probably going to change the seedings, where someone who is thinking, yep, we should pick up first seed, second seed, they may drop down to third or fourth seed and have a really unfavourable matchup in their first finals match.
Just sort of swapped over to the current standings. Obviously, not putting into account the match that happened on Tuesday. So this is just the end of week two. There, yeah, I was very interested to see that RSNC ended up sitting on the top of the board there. Obviously, tying with Gab for having two wins each, but they ended up having a higher score than Gab. So I'd sort of come down to it basically going to be Jugger and Gab in 1 and 2, Dyer and RSNC in 3 and 4, and SOCA in the fifth column in 5 and 6 sort of thing. And it's yeah, at this sort of 2 week mark, it's sort of a little bit all over the place. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, a bit over the place. I mean, the top four are the top four that we expected to see there, but definitely not in that order. You'd probably slide a few teams up and a few teams down, to be honest, in that to get to your final. So it's it's a bit of a shake-up, but again, only 2 rounds. It's hard to tell. The points sort of don't tell too much of a story either, because a couple of teams have had a really favourable matchups, and then you look at someone like Gab, who has probably had the two toughest matchups that they're going to get this season in the first 2 weeks. Someone like RSNC have probably got two not easy games, but easier matchups, sort of games to ease into it, and that'll play on it too, because you kind of want to have a tough end and persevere and prevail through a couple of really tough games towards the end. Someone like Gab is going to have a few teams that they probably would have expected to win strongly against, and then they're going to go into a finals match against a very competent enemy, and they may not have had practice against an enemy of that caliber as much as some of those teams that have pretty rough matchups towards the tail end of the season.
Yeah, and really all that we need is one match to sort of go in the complete opposite direction to what people are expecting. And so, for example, tonight, if either of these two teams come out with a win, that's just going to completely throw what the expectations are for the finals into a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping for.
Yep. Rightio, we should probably have a look at our first matchup. So we've got JUGA versus SOCA here. JUGA obviously playing as Vanu this time around, and SOCA as NC. JUGA, pretty standard roster, not seeing much there. Different Exocet, Cersei, Pegsy, Cracker, Newt, and Rocco. And SOCA's got Trollenbach, George, Dismos, Nidro, Deseric, and Truesight. Interesting to see from the Soka side, Monkey's not there this week. I think Nidro was the sub in last week for Trollan not being there, so he's now obviously been subbed in for Monkey. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes up their team dynamic in this match coming up against Jugga. Who their team, I don't think there's a lot of difference from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, two pretty much teams that you would expect. We said Monkeys stepped out for Trollan to step back in. Nidro has retained his place from last week when he stepped in for Trollan. So it'll be interesting. Nidro didn't have the best performance, so I'd like to see him consolidate on that. There were a few spots where, True Sight was quite a strong performer last week, even though they went down. So if himself and Trollan can both have good games, then they can really put it pretty close. That being said, the Jugger team, when they went down to Gab, were without Rocco, and he's come back in this week. Not too sure who they subbed out for him, because I believe Pegs went in for him in the first case, but Rocco back in there, and then the regulars that we see in Exocet, Cersei and Newt, as well as Cracker, who made his debut last week, but I have been told has got a microphone, so he's now doubly as deadly.
Sorry, I'm trying to get control of the camera, and it doesn't seem to be liking me all of a sudden.
We've got 30 seconds before we start here, so we have got the Jugger team on VS starting on the Southern Sundara, and the SOCA team starting as NC from the Northern Sundara.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, shit, can you get him to pause? The game's crashed out on me. Sorry guys, you'll have to give us a second while I jump back into the game. great way to start the match there.
Yeah, guys, just had a pause there, so we start the game. We'll get that one started again. Thanks, SOE, or Daybreak, whatever they want to call themselves. While we have got this break, though, we can talk about the fact that Cersei has
Guys,
matched...
the game's paused. Just go back to the Sunday for a moment.
We can say that Cersei has matched and probably one-upped Chris's turbo nerdiness with buying the beret on a faction-specific character that he's only going to play for 1 week. So if you see a man running around in a beret, that's Cersei, and he is leading in the autism point score at the moment.
Rightio, we're back up and running when they're ready.
They ready?
Yep, all good. They started, they're going to do a countdown. What's the go here?
I think we're going to have a countdown again, so we'll just wait for refs to restart the script, and we'll get back up and running. Just waiting for the final readies from the teams, guys, just to make sure that they're all back and ready to go.
Rightio. I've got to restart. Apparently.
I'm not too sure if you switched
Guys,
back
the
to
complete
Observer.
match will start again. It will start at the 15-minute countdown. I will give the 1 minute, the 30-second mark, and then we'll be ready to go.
Okay, so we got 1 minute before we start here, guys. Be interesting to see which team actually makes a push on to the A point. From experience when we were playing around here yesterday, it's a pretty tough point to push into, but not the toughest if you actually realise that there's a whole back section that can be accessed by the triple stack building. And actually, there's only 2 levels above ground and then 1 level below ground. So teams that have pushed in through that way and flanked from behind rather than just throwing bodies at the doors have had pretty good success. So giving up the point at the start is not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah.
So we've got JUGA starting from the southern sundry here with their banner characters, and SOCA will be the northern one. It'll be interesting. I think probably SOCA have got the better cover coming out, but that really doesn't come too much into play at the start of the match. It's really once that A point's been captured that we see what happens. Rightio. No guys there, nice and dark in the dark. I don't know whether or not they.
Yeah, it is
change it to
daytime
day or not.
on live. I think it might have been just because yours crashed for some reason. It's put it at nighttime, but it is day for the players and myself.
Okay, right. Yeah.
We have got from JUGA
There
the
we go,
standard
just-
4 heavy.
Just flicked and fixed itself.
So we've got 4 heavies, 1 infiltrator, and the light assault. We expect Rocco on the light assault and Newt on the infiltrator. A little bit of back and forth, but it looks like SOCA's come out on front with 3 of the first 5 kills, but Cracker and Exocet rip them apart there and take it into JUGA's favour. I believe that we've only got 2 men left for SOCA. Still
under contention. We've got the 2 guys here, Exocet and Cracker, yeah, both on the A point there. Interesting. Exocet there running the shotgun. He's obviously going for the close quarter sort of role in this A point area.
Yeah, I'd expect him to hang around the point if he's going to use that shotgun. It really is ineffective on this base because there's so much open space leading on to the point that you can be picked off by someone with an LMG.
Nidro running our infiltrator again this time around.
Let's see Exocet pushed out a little bit towards the building that SOCA would otherwise be gathering up at. Just getting a little bit of intel, but he's met with a shotgun as well there. And put down. Got George actually managing to put him down there. He's pulled out the jackhammer, so it's going to come down to a battle of shotguns. You'd expect the NC to win because the jackhammer is completely unmatched by anything that the VS arsenal can field. Even a full auto shotgun is just not going to come close, and SOCA's pushed in on the point and capped it.
And we've got Trueside here on the point, going up against Newt and getting taken down with the pistol there.
Newt getting a double commissioner kill there before going down, so
Yeah, Dismal's taking
well.
it down there.
2 kills from 1 clip with a commissioner, especially when one of the enemies you kill has got a jackhammer. That's pretty impressive.
Jersey there taking an easy kill against Nidro.
Yeah, so we've got Nidro in the infiltrator spot for SOCA, which is interesting because they've now had 3 matches, 3 different infiltrators come out. Ooh, some good kills there. George not able to get close enough with that jackhammer. He was hanging back a little bit too far. He's really got to commit completely if he wants to be useful with that shotgun.
That's the trick with the shotgun. You can't get into that sort of that instinctual thing to sort of pull back away when you're getting shot at. You've really got to push forwards towards them.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't be squeamish about getting in there. You're going to die. That's pretty much a fact. You have to accept that. But what you have to do with the shotgun is just dish out more damage than is going to be done to you. So if you can kill one man and then put a little bit of damage on another, then you've won that trade. And you can dump out damage pretty quick with the shotgun. And with the survivability of the heavy, you should be able to do that pretty easily. But we see here that SOCA's just getting bullied a bit hard here.
And Trollin's pulled the max again.
Yeah, Scat Max here as well, so it's going to be pretty effective max onto this point, but at the same time, very, very close angles. They shouldn't be missing dumbfire rockets on this max, so probably just to push them back a little bit, I'd like to see them still lead in with their heavies, force JUGA to expend their rockets on infiltrate on infantry, and then while they're reloading, move in with the max and clean up.
They're playing it smart here. He had the max there and he could have pushed in at the point with maybe 2 guys. SOCA, they're definitely taking what they've learned from the first couple of weeks into heart, and they're playing smart. They're moving in as a group as much as they can.
Yeah, unfortunately a lot of them do get picked off on that push.
A lot of guys there. Trollon got into the point, but without any support, a couple of rockets and he's down.
Yeah, he has managed to get in on basically full health though. He hasn't taken too much damage yet, but he needs to be careful. He can't get overconfident. He just needs to secure this point so that his infantrymen can get onto that point and flip it, because he can't flip it. He's a vehicle, basically.
Yeah, it looks like that at the moment. They're basically just struggling to get inside there. We've got Nidro there going in as the infiltrator. Obviously, he'll be able to click over the point, and now they just need to get their guys onto the A point and hold it. George, they're coming in from a flanking position.
He stopped. Wybie missed that rocket actually. Trollon took no damage from that rocket. Or that one. He's got up to 4 kills. 1 more kill and it doesn't matter if JUGA even kills him. But he may just redeploy out of this anyway. But he's still full health basically.
He's still pretty well full health, yeah.
He should just hold this max and milk it for all it's worth. Because if he gets 1 more kill, it doesn't matter.
They need to get some more guys. They've still only got 3 guys here on the A. Oh no, they've got 4.
No, I think they've got pretty much the whole contingent. It'd be interesting to see if they're watching the back. It doesn't look like they're watching the back alley, so if I was JUGA, I'd be getting my men through there and lobbing in some rockets, maybe even thinking about pulling some anti-vehicle grenades just to stick one onto that Max's face and then let someone else finish him off with a rocket.
I don't know, at least on this northern point here, for a small moment there, we had George and Disnos both sort of hiding sort of in the corners there, both facing opposite directions to each other. So they were both watching by the doorway and watching each other sort of thing, so they knew what was going on. But you couldn't say the same was happening on the southern end at the very least.
Oh, and Tron peaks at the perfect time, but he does go down. I think he managed to get one more kill, so it didn't really matter. Cracker took him down, and it was an end net 0 score for that max because it went down 5 points over the enemy, but because he got 5 kills, doesn't really matter, and the point secure was pretty much wiped out once that max went down. But at the same time, they denied the capture from JUGA and put a little bit more time on the clock for them to maybe do the same again.
Yeah, well, they've sort of shown JUGA that, you know, they're able to push in and actually gather the point. Now they really just need to tighten up their hold on the point, and yeah, they might be able to capture it off them. But now they're back on the back foot and they've got to push in for an attack again.
It's good to see them innovate with something like that. I mean, it's not really innovating to pull a scat max and push onto a point. That's pretty much standard NC, I guess. But it's different play than what we've seen, and it's just really refreshing to see them actually willing to try stuff. And from anyone, they've probably been the team that's just gone, okay, we're losing, this isn't going right. Let's do something different. Let's change it. Let's pull a max. Let's do this. Let's do that. So they're staying true to their really never say die attitude.
I don't want to brag too much about SOCA, so I won't add anything to that.
No favoritism allowed?
No, absolutely not.
Come on, you're allowed a little bit.
Now, Trollin there playing the light assault role from the looks of things. They are jetpacks and he's back there.
Really good that they're just holding back as well. They're not pushing into the point willy-nilly. They're waiting for an opening. They're maybe waiting for a pick onto someone. JUGA's not really giving them the opportunity to get that, so they're countering well. And they lose one themselves. Trollin did go down there to pegs.
Pegs there, yeah.
And now they've got not much time left on the clock, so if they're going to make a play for the point, they've got to do it shortly. Trollin's just died, so he may come back with another max.
With only 10 seconds left, I don't think they're going to actually get the point, unfortunately, unless they snuck someone in, which they didn't.
And not throwing away points, so they made the executive decision to give it up and not throw away the points. So maybe doing a little bit of what we thought would happen earlier, just minimize your loss to a team that you would expect to lose against and not throw away free points at the same time, earn as many points as you can. But it's not off net score, so you still need to score points for your team. The tiebreakers aren't done off net. It's only points for, so you've got to get those kills to get your points for up.
Yeah, and that's the tricky bit in this sort of situation where JUGA have obviously got a skill advantage on them sort of thing. It's the 2-to-1 sort of situation. They've got to play smarter, they've got to play more as a group and sort of be able to get those picks either 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 if possible.
And I think, you know, the lowest scores that we've seen for a round are around about the 60 mark. So they walk out of this one with sort of 40-odd points, which is, if they keep playing like this, they may well. It's not going to be good. They're going to need to score a lot of points in the second half to get it up there. And it opens the door for FCLM to put up a bigger performance against Gab and just throw it all against the wall. You know, even if they lose by 400 points, get 200 points themselves.
Yeah, and this round especially, they've probably got the better cover for pushing in towards the point, which is sort of the situation they sort of expect that they're going to be stuck in. And they've got this whole sort of, whatever you call this, the long building that they can sort of push through and use as cover and sort of pop out and sort of shoot guys. Whereas in the second round, they're going to have a lot of open ground and there's not going to be a lot of cover, and the JUGA guys are just going to be able to open up on them if they, you know, aren't able to push them back. So they need to use that advantage and get a few more points on the board before it's too late.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If they are in this position in the next map, in the next half of the round, it's not going to go well for them. They've only got rocks. They won't get into that L-shaped building, which is the equivalent that JUGA currently has, but it's a lot further away from the spawn and a lot further out of cover than what the SOCA guys are currently enjoying. So they're going to have to cross a lot of open ground to get to that triple building, or two-story building, sorry. And I don't think JUGA will let them. JUGA will camp that building. They will camp the rocks. They will get up on that balcony on that building and not let them get out of their spawn room. As long as they don't push onto that tower, JUGA's well within their rights to effectively spawn camp them.
Seems odd. We're not really seeing the. Like, I'd almost swear half the team from SOCA sort of disappeared there. They just don't seem to be as present on the field all of a sudden. Like, you see maybe a group of two of them together. They started off well and were sort of working, and you'd see 3 or 4 of them together, or the whole sort of team all in one spot. And now they seem to be just struggling to keep themselves together.
Yeah, and not throwing away points, but like I said, not giving points to JUGA either. So JUGA's on the other side of it. They've also got to score points here. So I would have liked to have seen them get a bit more aggressive. And it's not that hard to flank all the way around that building. Although you'd probably be skirting on the exclusion zone. So you might not be able to flank that building, but even push in, lead with conks into that building that SOCA's been gathering up in, and just get in there and wipe it out. If you're on the point, do it again. It looks like Newt. Maybe off to the side, trying to... Well, there he is. Yes, he's at the edge of the bridge, over near the triple stack building, trying to shoot down on the rear position of where SOCA's been gathering in that building, and he picks off one there. Great shot.
Really are just struggling to get themselves back together to try another push at this point. I don't know what's going through the heads of the SOCA guys.
I think probably just too much damage minimalization mode at this point. They had that one go push onto the point, and they sort of showed themselves that they could do it. But then since then, they've not tried anything. They've not changed anything. They've just been content to sit in this building and take the odd trade here and there. But it's not gone in their favor either. It's pretty much 1-for-1s, which is good. But when it's your 1-for-1s happening once every 4 minutes, it's not good enough. You need those kills. You need those points. We've got one man pushing onto the point. We've got George has just bum rushed
just
the
sort
point.
of rushes the point by himself there. He did have a second guy behind him who ended up getting taken down.
Oh, good kill. Takes down Exocet. That's a pretty tough target.
There, yeah. Problem is now he's here by himself, and all of the gap guys are going to start coalescing on this A point. He doesn't have enough time to capture it either, so obviously he hasn't realised that and how long there is left in the round sort of thing, and doesn't seem to have stuck around for the fight. It's must have decided to pull away from it.
Yeah, he ran up into the triple stack building, and I'm not too sure. He might just be trying to posture, but he did go down. Rocco managed to take him down on the roof of the triple stack building, so good idea, trying to get up there and look down onto the position that basically Newt was sniping from, and I think he picked him off with the help of one of the JUGA heavies, but didn't come to fruition. But he's trying. I mean, he's trying to make a play, and can't fault him for that. They need to do that.
And Nidro takes down Exocet there.
Oh, picks up another one there by the looks of it. Oh no, Trollin managed to take down Cracker, and Rocco got Nidra somewhere else.
And there we have it. That's round 1 all over and done with. I'll swap over and have a look at the halftime scores. So JUGA obviously holding on to a good, 50, 70, almost 80 point lead there against SOCA with 118 to SOCA's 48. SOCA, they've done a reasonable job to sort of mitigate the damage. It definitely could have been a lot worse for them, and I think for fifth column coming up against JUGA, I think from memory it was a bit worse for them. I think JUGA almost got close to 200 points in the first round, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. They pumped them in the first round. JUGA really gave it to fifth column, but fifth column sort of enabled them to do that by continually pushing into bad spots, and that's, I guess, what SOCA was trying to not do or avoid, but at the same time, just not putting up enough points. 48's not enough for a round.
Yeah. So what have we got? Troll on there. I don't know what's. Oh, right. I forgot he had the max. I'm looking at it as his kills and deaths are equal as why is his net score so low? So it's because he had
Yeah.
that max, and that'll sort of change up what's happened there. George struggling a bit this round with 11 deaths, only 5 kills, and yeah, Deseric sort of having the same sort of trouble there, only 1 kill for the entire round. But they're playing it smart. They're trying to mitigate the amount of deaths that Jugga's getting out of it, and like they know that Jugga have a skill advantage on them. Like Exocet there with 11 kills and Pegsy there with 10 to 3 deaths. Like they're just trying to slow the points down pretty much, and that seems to be what's happening.
Yeah, pretty even scores from SOCA, and they would like to see that. That's probably a hallmark of a team that's starting to come together and find their feet as a team. They're starting to back each other up. If one man is in, we're all in. We saw a couple of times where they broke away from that, and George went off on a romp on his own to the point, and that worked. But at the same time, you want to kind of build a team that's going to be competitive and to play as a team and as a unit. You want to mirror what the Jugga guys can do and the Dire guys can do and the RSNC guys can do. They've really played as a team. But we saw the same thing on Jugga side. No one really jumping out with huge scores. I mean, Exocet will probably be a bit disappointed with a 6, but we did see him rushing in quite a lot of times there just to get a 1-for-1 or a none for one just to sort of disrupt him, and then someone else would come in and clean up the kill that he set up. Newt again going pretty big with a 6-for-1, so only died one time, and I'm pretty sure that he's having connection troubles at the moment, so that's doubly impressive.
Yeah, well, definitely. And yeah, I guess that again comes down to like it obviously looks like this is the strategy that Soka's going for is to try and mitigate the amount of deaths that they like they've tried that initial push for the A point there, and that was them trying to stop the cap, to stop Jugga getting that extra 25 points, and it wasn't enough to sort of hold on to it. But they sort of give it a try and showed that they were able to do it, and then from that point onwards, it was basically just not running into X set over and over and over again, and allowing him to get kills and put more points on the board.
Yeah, that's got to be jarring to the Jugga team as well, because they have a style that they want to play, and it's very aggressive against a team like this. They want to get up there and rack up the points, because as we said, at the top end of the ladder as well, those guys may be separated by tiebreakers as well. So they want to put some pretty big points on the board, but the biggest win this season has been by Jugga against Fifth Column. If they only have a minor win here, not a minor win, but if they recreate their score here and end up with 236 points, it's not going to be a good win. It's pretty much going to wipe out that 422-point performance that they had in the first week, and it's going to basically mean nothing. So their real firm grasp on the points situation, aside from the game that they had against Gab, where they still put some pretty good points up, that win will be nullified, and the hard work that they did is going to be worth nothing. So they need to get a bit more aggressive than what they did. I think the side that they're on this time will definitely allow them to do that, though.
Yeah, and I think this is really where we're going to see the second round, them coming in from the north with Soka coming from the south. They don't have the cover. They're not going to be able to play the same sort of strategy as they did in that first round, because it's not going to work for them. Soka are going to get too many angles on them in that open ground there. They're going to need to try something different. They're going to need to either push the A point and really hold on to it, or they're going to have to do something different. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bloodbath over and over again near those what do we call them, the containers.
Yeah, storage containers and the L-shaped building, I think, will be the focus point of this one. I think we'll see eventually, maybe not off the start, but eventually Jugga will take control of the point, and then from there they'll just be looking to push out. So beyond to SOCA to try and find a way to keep themselves out of a position that's really compromised behind these rocks, behind these storage containers, or in that L-shaped building, because your light assault, which will be Rocco, will just be able to sit on top of that L-shaped building and rain down absolute hell onto SOCA if they give up control of that building and have lost a point.
Yeah, and this is going to be the Rocco's round here. If he's playing that light assault role, he needs to be up on that roof. He needs to be disrupting them.
And we see same start from the JUGA guys. They've just gone 4 heavies and 1 infiltrator, 1 light assault.
Yep, and it looks like this time around SOCA does have the light assault again. I'm guessing that's probably Trollin there. Yes, it is. And they've gone for the standard 4 heavies and the infiltrator.
Looks to me like we've got at least 2 jackhammers here, so...
Yeah, a lot of damage going on there in the point and a horrific amount of smoke, which is going to make my job so much more interesting.
Yeah, smoke not good. I don't know who dropped that, but my money's on SOCA.
I imagine so, yeah. They've probably gone and tried for something different there, and unfortunately it didn't work for them. I don't know whether or not they were running HSNV scopes or not, but it looks like the JUGA guys did come out with the clear advantage.
Not something that we've seen, and as you said, it does make casting an absolute nightmare or trying to follow the fight when there's smoke, but it is a legitimate tactic to try and throw smoke.
Yeah,
you have HSNV, and if you know your enemy doesn't.
Definitely an interesting strategy, and probably something that'd be good to see in this area pushing in if they do end up getting stuck in that sort of situation where they're getting farmed over and over again in the open ground, would be to throw a few bits of smoke out and push more for the L-shaped building.
They've got up onto this L-shaped building. We just saw Deseric manage to take down Exocet in a 1 versus 1, and he's going back for a little bit more. Doesn't go. He does. He got 2 kills there. He picked up Pegs and Newt, so they've got a 3-man advantage. They really need to push onto this point. Whether they know they can or not is a different story.
And someone dropped smoke on him. I don't know who it was.
Oh, good snipe there with the Commissioner from Rocco, and Cersei also picking up 2 kills. So they evened it back up. That was a missed opportunity from SOCA. They could have got onto that point and secured it with a 4 versus 2 advantage.
Sure that there was a thing, there was a patch, and it said that it fixed the weird, like, legs flailing around thing from Light Assaults. I don't...
I'm sure the patch did say
that. It's not fixed. Oh,
whether it's fixed or not. Now we're starting to see the goal. We can see Rocco up on that roof, just picking them off and just harassing them enough that they feel uncomfortable. They don't want to push into that L-shaped building. They want to make a concerted effort to push, but they can't make that concerted effort because they're constantly being harassed from the top by Rocco, and their light assault, who's trolling, is not going up on the roof to try and tango with him. He's just hanging down the bottom, and he just got nailed there by, I think, Exocet managed to take him down. No, sorry, he redeployed. So he was that uninterested in being a light assault, he actually redeployed out. Because he's pulled a max. So, oh no, we've got George who's pulled a... We have got 2 maxes coming in. George and Trollin are both pulled max suits. We've got 2 other guys waiting here at the Sundera with them. So we've got 4 men just gathering up on the Sundera for SOCA, and JUGA, unfortunately for SOCA, they should have stood still, but they're clumping around. They've probably heard them coming. We've got a 5-man push here from SOCA with a 6th lagging slightly behind, and we'll see how JUGA deals with this one. They've spotted it. Rocco's spotted them from the roof, and now it's onto them to put them down.
Now the big problem with the maxes, obviously, that they're pushing is the fact that they're going for the shotgun maxes, which means that they're fine if they can push into the A point and get into that sort of close combat sort of situation, but out in the open there, we've already lost 1 there. George going down to Exocet from the looks of things.
Yeah, he did get taken down there, and Trollin managed to get 2 kills, but then he got dropped by Rocco with the Pulsar, actually, so not the best use of the maxes. They gave away 10 points there, and they only managed to get 2 back, so not the best use of the strategy, but I think it was a good strategy, just probably ill-supported.
Yeah, it gave them a chance to sort of push forwards and not get stuck in that situation where they were out in the open ground there, which is what they were sort of getting towards. But yeah, they just... Yeah, the NC Max is just not for long range, and that's the problem, is what they've got to deal with now, is they've got that long range that they've got to get all the way up to, and yeah.
Yeah, it was really not going to work with a team like JUGA, and what they did when they saw that push coming in, they knew that there was only 4 squishy targets. There were only 4 infantrymen coming in, so all they did was focus those 4 infantrymen, and then the maxes were pretty much unsupported, and they can't cover the infantry like a VS or a TR max can from longer range. I mean, it's not accurate, but it's a lot more accurate and a lot more effective than the NC max, so there's no point in shooting it when he's at long range, because he can't hurt you until he gets to close range. Pick off the squishies. They're the ones that are going to flip the point and stop you capturing it, and then deal with the maxes at your own pace, because once they're unsupported, they're actually quite easy to take down.
It's interesting. They've now swapped to 2 infiltrators. It looks like Nidro and I'm guessing probably Trollin. Yep, have both infiltrators now. So they're obviously trying to swap to something that's a little bit more long range, knowing that they're sort of going to get stuck in this situation. The heavies are sort of trying to take as much cover as they can and bait the JUGA guys out a little bit for the infiltrators.
Probably just trying to support a push in and keep JUGA from sticking out on that balcony, but they're not succeeding in doing that because their infiltrators are actually pushing up with them. So they're not hanging back and just saying, okay, heavies, push in there, be the meat shield. When the man steps out on the balcony, I will kill him. He just sort of, they just don't support it enough. It's right tactic, wrong implementation.
Yeah, and they're very much just getting picked off now. It seems like they had a whole big cluster of them ready to push in and they've just sort of disappeared.
They are, and not scoring the points again that they probably need to, and that's this round dictated by the fact that JUGA's just camping in this L-shaped building and not letting them get in there to try and kill them. They're just picking them off from long enough range that there's not much that SOCA can do here. They're hiding behind trees, they're hiding behind rocks, they're not even thinking about going onto the point, and they're just getting picked off one by one.
Now, there's nothing stopping them from... They've obviously got control of this tower. This is part of their exclusion zone. They could go up onto that tower and go across the bridge and at least come down near the vehicle terminals there, and that's a different angle, and that would mean that the JUGA guys would need to redirect to deal with that. That'd be about the only thing I could see as something they could try as a tactic, other than pulling more maxes.
Yeah, I'd like to see them try something like that. Not so much a composition play, but a terrain play where they just, like you said, get up in the tower, walk across. They will be spotted, though, going across there. There's not enough cover on that bridge walkway over to the tower.
But
so they will be spotted. But
basically, it'd mean that JUGA would have to redirect, in a nutshell, to deal with them coming from a different direction. Because at the moment, they're basically sitting in this L-shaped building on, 3 different levels, on the roof, on the balcony, on the bottom floor. They're popping out and waiting for them to come around that corner there. And as soon as they come around that little tower from the Sundra, and they're just sort of mowing them down. If they, get around into the tower and, go to the other side of the base, basically, those guys that are in that tower all of a sudden become useless to JUGA.
Yeah, absolutely, and it will just make them think. It'll challenge them a little bit. Right now you're doing the same thing over and over again. They know how to disarm this tactic. They know how to fight it. They are sort of trying to get across there. We've got True Sight. He's actually at the base of the second tower, but he manages to get picked off. So
yeah, I already got 2 guys over here from JUGA, like, countering, and almost as if they're watching the stream and knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, stream snipe. But we do still have one man in here. It's the sniper. I don't know which one it is because he's cloaked at the moment. It's Nidrao. So Nidrao is over in the second tower. And he's got some support coming across here. Dismos is coming over to help him out, but taking the wrong side of that bridge here. He really needs to be on the other side to try and maximize his stealthiness. I think JUGA are onto this.
Yeah, JUGA have already got a motion spotter over near this tower. They've already got a good idea of what's going on.
Trollin does join them in the tower, so we've got 2 heavies. I'm not too sure if Nidrao is still around here. Oh, jackhammer on Cersei, so Trollin's running the jackhammer somewhere. He must have pulled that one out. And he's also, he's in the tower with that jackhammer, so they're trying to bait JUGA into this tower and make it a bit of a kill zone, I guess.
At this point now, they're stretching them. You know, instead of them coming in as a spear and having to deal with JUGA head on over and over again, now JUGA have got to deal with them on two fronts. They've got them over in the tower there. They've got a couple of guys over here at the sort of the main entrance, ducking behind the tree. And so, yeah, it gives them a little bit more opportunity there to get a few 2v1 kills or 1v1 kills. Other than, you know, 3 or 4 JUGA guys versus 1 or 2 SOCA.
Yeah, and looking at how, not easily, but how unopposed they were at getting into that point, I would have liked to have seen them try that earlier when the point was in play. I mean, we still theoretically can have a capture, but it's unlikely. If you've got a couple of guys over into that point, even if they were SMG infiltrators so that they were completely unseen, go through the triple stack, get down onto the point, flip it, that will draw JUGA out of that L-shaped building and allow your other 4 guys to push up, control the L-shaped building. Yes, the 2 guys in the point will either die or need to pull back, but at the same time you gain control of the building that JUGA's going to push back out into, thinking, well, no one's going to be there, and it would probably allow you to get a bit of a good trade as long as you can outshoot them. But a bit late in the piece for it.
Yeah, I think they've really just decided they've given it the A point push, the start of the match there, so as to not give it to JUGA completely uncontested. You know, they tried a bit of smoke out, they tried something different. It didn't work for them, and now they've sort of reserved to just trying to hold off, and they're not doing too bad, to be honest. You know, they're 243 to 92 so far. JUGA's, you know, the JUGA score's creeping up there, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, definitely not. But Nude at the same time is doing work. I've already seen him. He had a 6 kill streak this round. He's back up to 5. He's got the last 3 kills on Troll and George and Nidrow, so he's doing a bit of work, and they need to really neutralise him a bit because he doesn't have to do anything except shoot. They don't need intel on where they are. They can see it from their position. They've got the high ground. They're just looking down at them, basically. So
Rocco
he's free
down there. I think, yeah, annoying camera.
But still not the 400-point performance that you would probably, or JUGA would be hoping for, at least in this one. They've been stifled a little bit on points, so SOCA's done a good job, but they haven't done a good job for themselves. They're probably just helping out Gab, RSNC, and Dyer at this point.
A certain amount of it would be pride. You know, they don't want to be stomped as badly as what 5th column were in that first round, basically.
Yeah, of course not. That'll be their little their beacon to carry into their match against 5th column, probably. But yeah, they've done well enough, and this is probably the result that we would have expected coming out of this game, except for the fact that it could go one of 2 ways. It was either going to be a real chess match, or it was going to be an absolute bloodbath. So, percentage-wise, they're still getting beaten pretty soundly.
They've pushed into the L-shaped building here, and they do seem to have taken a small amount of control of that, at least. As soon as you
you're right. They've
control of that
up
ground,
a couple of kills.
You've got to figure out where your guys are to sort of fight against.
Yeah, we saw Trollon pushed in and managed to get a long-range kill on Newt, which put to bed his 5-kill streak, as well as Max scattering a heavy. So he did pretty well there to get in there, but then he got taken down by Cracker, and seems that they're just slowly moving back in JUGA into that L-shaped building.
Unusual decision there to go for the A point with only a minute left. Possibly strategic. It may have been someone who's got a shotgun. They're thinking, I can pull 1 or 2 people here, I might get a bit of a close combat attack on them, something like that. But man, it might have just been someone running through. Yeah.
He's come back. So it is George. He knows there's a man there. He's managed to sneak off, I believe. Unfortunately going down there, so the information was obviously fed back to Exocet that George was standing there, and while George was focused on the man he knew was there, Exocet snuck up and managed to pick him off.
And there we have it, guys. A pretty predictable win from JUGA there, but SOCA definitely held out better than what people were sort of expecting them to do. Let's have a bit of a look at the halftime scores there. So obviously 261 to JUGA there with 108 to SOCA. JUGA there with a nice sort of win. Exit there. Net score still a little bit low with a 7 there. Still riding on the death. So imagine from the first round there. Cersei and Newt there. 21 kills to 5 deaths. A really nice net score there with 32. And SOCA obviously being on the back end, most of their net scores are pretty low. Dismos there having not a very good match with only 6 kills to 20 odd deaths, and George there again 11 kills to 23 deaths. Sort of caught up a little bit from that first round, but not enough. But definitely a commendable fight from SOCA, at least against one of the top teams on the server.
It is. They had their strategy and they stuck to it, and it worked for them. I would guess. It was pretty clear what they were trying to do. It's just going to be a matter of time to see whether that sort of strategy pays off. They're denying points rather than flying out to capture them. But we see sort of a few trends come out of that. Trollan and TrueSight, obviously the top scoring, both getting negatives, but the best scores for their teams, as well as Exocet and Cracker, which continues a trend of you team will win, but you're always going to have probably 2 heavies that are going to go either really low or really high, and then the others will just manage to clean up. So, yeah, it was a good match, an expected result, and interesting to see these guys win the next match.
Rightio. So we're going to just call it for a couple of minutes and cool down, have a drink, and come back for our next match. Will be Gab versus Fifth Column.